Hello, good day everyone. So for the weekly dose of knowledge, we have here under pa rin ang forensic ballistics. We have here the so-called shots ballistics. Okay. So when we say shots ballistics, okay, from the word shots, of course, ballistics we all know. When we say ballistics, that is the study of the motion of projectiles. Okay. Now, when we are referring na to shots ballistics, okay, shots, the word shots, so it refers to the projectile of a smoothbore firearm. Okay? So this refers to the study. Ang pinag-aaralan dyan ay alin? The study of the shots from smoothbore firearms like shotguns and muskets. Okay? So ang pinag-aaralan dito is the shots, okay, or the ball coming from a smoothbore firearms tulad na lamang ng shotguns and then the muskets. Okay? So, as we all know, the projectile of shotguns, we have the so-called pellets, okay, na nakikita natin sa mga shotgun shell or shot shell. Okay? So again, shots ballistics refers to the study of shots from smoothbore firearms like shotguns and then the muskets. Okay, so I have here on my shared screen, we have here the image of a smoothbore firearm. Ito yon, okay, a smoothbore firearm, and of course we have here the rifled bore firearm na meron siyang elevated portion. Okay, so here the elevated portion na tinatawag din natin na lance. Okay, and then the depressed portion, those are the grooves. Okay, so those are the helical grooves inside the bore or inside the barrel of the firearm. Okay, so ang tawag natin sa klase ng barrel na yan is rifled bore firearm. So kaya nagkakaroon ng rotary motion of the bullet or the twisting of the bullet. It's either right or left. Pero, in shots ballistics, hindi natin pinag-aaralan yung bullets na lumalabas dito sa firearm na ganito or sa barrel na ganito na merong lance and grooves. When we say shots ballistics, that is the study of shots, pellets, okay, from a smoothbore firearm, tulad na lamang ng shotgun. Just like, for example, this barrel is a smoothbore barrel. Okay? So kung mapapansin natin sa loob niyan, wala siyang elevated portion, wala siyang depressed portion. Okay? So ito yung makikita natin sa loob ng barrel ng shotgun and even muskets. Okay? So sa muskets, marami kasing klase ng musket. We have this matchlock na kung saan ginagamitan siya ng parang rope na mayroong nagbabagang dulo, and then pag sumausaw yun dun sa may priming pan, doon na magkakaroon ng deflagration. Yung another type naman ng musket, that is the flintlock na gumagamit naman siya ng flint, yung flintstone, no? Bato yon na pag kumaskas doon is magkakaroon siya ng percussion. Okay? So magkakaroon ng pagkiskis. Okay? Then pag kumiskis yun, yung pagkislap na yun yung magkokos ng deflagration sa gun powder. And yung isa pa is the what we call wheel lock musket na kung saan meron siyang pinipihit doon. Okay, may pinipihit doon, and then pagka pinol yung trigger, iikot ng mabilis pabalik yung wheel na yun, kakaskas siya ngayon, yun yung magpo-produce ng percussion, yun yung magiging source niya ng heat, nagkakaroon ng percussion, and then tuloy-tuloy hanggang sa magkaroon na ng deflagration of the gun powder. Another type of musket is yung tinatawag natin na percussion lock. Na kung saan yung percussion lock, meron siyang nilalagay na percussion cap doon sa may taas parte ng trigger, no? Sa may taas to parte ng firearm, and then yun yung pinapalo ng pinaka-hammer na nagko-cause ng percussion, and then para mag-cause ng deflagration of the gun powder. So those are the different types of musket. Okay? So Ganun siya. Yung itsura ng loob ng barrel ng musket, ganun lang din yung itsura ng barrel ng shotgun. By the way, when we say musket, that is an ancient muzzle-loading smoothbore firearm. Okay, yun yung usually mahahabang firearm yan na yung kanyang ball or the projectile ay ikinakarga dito mismo sa loob ng muzzle at hindi dun sa may breech. Okay? So, shotgun, okay, when we say shotgun, a smoothbore that fires multiple pellets, as we all know, di ba? Kapag pinaputok natin ng shotgun, fires multiple pellets. So, isang bugahan lang yung mga pellets na yon in one shot. And also, it can fire a single slug. Okay? A single slug. Ngayon, saan ginagamit yung slug na yan? Sa shotgun din ba siya? Yes. Okay? So, balikan natin tong types ng barrel. Actually, meron tayong, yes, in general, meron tayong dalawang klase ng barrel. We have this rifle bore, yung may lance and grooves. And also, we have this the smooth bore. Pero, in the case of the barrel of the shotgun, meron din tayong tinatawag na paradox barrel, okay, or the paradox gun. Paradox. Na kung saan yung paradox na barrel is smooth bore siya throughout the from the chamber throughout the barrel, pero pagdating malapit na sa kanyang muzzle, meron siyang kaunting lance and grooves. Okay? So just like for example, no, meron tayong barrel dito. Yan. So, smooth bore siya, pero pagkadating dito sa dulo, meron siyang konting lance and grooves. Ang tawag dyan is the paradox gun. Ngayon, dyan ginagamit yung slug. Okay? Yung slug, that is a single lead ball that propelled by a shotgun. Okay? Single lead ball yan, tapos meron tayong makikita dyan ng mga para siyang may mga depressed and elevated portion na kahit hindi pa man sa dumadaan sa barrel. No, meron na siyang grooves. Okay? So, ang tawag sa ganong klase ng shotgun or the barrel of the shotgun is paradox gun. Okay? So, yun yung ginagamitan ng slug. Okay? So, in police parlance kasi, lalo na sa mga investigators, in police parlance, when we say slug, lahat ng nakikita nila sa crime scene, they are using the term slug. Even kahit bullet pa yan, okay, slug ang tawag din in police parlance if you are a police investigator. But if you are a ballistician, when we say slug, that is a projectile that came from a shotgun, specifically in a paradox barrel. Okay? So next, we have here the shotgun shell, shot shell or shell. Okay? Different terms but same context, no? Isa lang sila ng ibig sabihin. That is a single unit of ammunition for a shotgun. Okay? So with either pellets or slug as a projectile. Okay? So yung shotgun shell or shot shell, ito yung may mga iba't ibang kulay. Okay, yan, merong pula, merong green, merong dilaw. Okay, yun yung pinaka-tabular container niya. Yung mga kulay na yun. Okay? So may berde, may pula, may dilaw. Okay? That is the color of the tabular case. Later, I will be showing you the anatomy of a shotgun shell. Okay? So, kung ang tawag natin dun sa kung ang tawag natin sa ammunition ng mga rifle bore firearm ay bullet, ang tawag naman natin sa ammunition ng shotgun is shotgun shell. Kung ang tawag natin sa ammunition ng rifle bore firearm ay cartridge, okay? Ang tawag naman natin sa ammunition sa mga smooth bore firearm, just like for example the shotgun, ang tawag natin doon ay shotgun shell, shot shell, or shell. We do not call it as cartridge. Although the others might call it cartridge, but specifically when we referring to the cartridge of a shotgun, okay, to avoid ambiguity o kalituhan, we call it shot shell, shotgun shell, or shell. Okay, so that is the ammunition for a shotgun. The ammunition for rifle bore firearm, we call it cartridge. Okay? So, as we all know, in the anatomy of a shotgun shell, meron yang, wala yang bullet eh. Di ba? Ang meron yan is what we call pellets or shots. Okay? We call it shots or pellets as a projectile. Nino? Nung shotgun shell na tinatawag natin na ammunition ng shotgun. Ngayon, meron tayong dalawang klase ng shots or pellets ng shotgun shell. Meron tayong tinatawag na buckshot or this drop shot or other term niya is bird shot. When you say buckshot, ito yung mga malalaki. Okay? And then when we say drop shot, ito naman yung mas maliliit o mas marami. Okay? So better understanding, just like for example here, okay? So meron tayo ditong example, itong the green one, we have here the buckshots, okay? We have large pellets or shots. And then the red one, we have here maliliit na bulitas or pellets, lead balls. We call it drop shot or bird shots, okay? So yung shotgun, the mechanism of the shotgun, mas lumalayo tayo sa target, mas nag-i-spread out yung pellets. Mas lumalapit tayo sa target, mas nagiging yung groupings ng pellet ay mas lumiliit. Okay? So, mas lumalayo ang range, mas nag-i-spread out. Mas lumalapit tayo, mas nagkukumpul-kumpul yung mga pellets papunta dun sa target. Okay? So, gauge naman, when we say gauge, it refers to the caliber of the shotgun. Usually kasi, when we say caliber, that is the measurement of the rifle bore firearm. Okay? Mas ginagamit natin yung term na caliber sa mga rifle bore firearm, yung mga lance and grooves. Now, when are we referring to shotguns, the caliber of the shotgun, we call it gauge. Okay? And usually that is the number of lead pellets or balls given, okay, of the given bore diameter required to make up 1 pound weight. Okay? So nakadepende yan doon sa may laman niya na pellets or shots, no? Sukat yan doon sa kanyang bore diameter. Okay? So ang shots kasi, habang lumalaki ang shots, mas konti ang laman. Okay? Pag mas malalaki ang shots mo or yung pellets o mas nagiging backshot siya, mas konti yung nailalaman dun sa shot shell. Pero habang nagiging bird shot siya or drop shot, yung mas maliliit, siyempre dahil mas maliliit siya, mas marami siyang laman. Okay? So nakadepende yung number. So just like for example, ang laman ng isang shot shell ay 12. So we refer that or we may call that shotgun 12 gauge shotgun since yung kanyang number of lead pellets or balls are 12. Okay? So yung caliber naman, paano natin siyang sinusukat? By the way, meron tayong equipment na ginagamit to measure the gauge of the shotgun. And ang tawag natin doon sa equipment na yon is yung taper gauge. Okay? Taper gauge. Taper gauge. Ang itsura ng taper gauge, para lang siyang ruler pero papalit siya. Yan yung sinusuot doon sa may muzzle ng shotgun. Kung saan huminto yun, kung saan tumupat yung guhit or yung sukat nun, usually that is the gauge of the shotgun or the caliber of the shotgun. Okay? So, yung caliber naman, the equipment that we can use to measure the caliber of the firearm is the equipment or the tool, we call it caliper. Okay? The caliper. The vernier caliper. No? Vernier caliper. Ang vernier caliper, hindi lang yung ginagamit sa pagsukat ng caliber ng firearm. Even yung mga plumber, ginagamit yan. Even the mechanic, no? Sa mga pagsukat ng mga bolts, no? Ginagamit din nila ang vernier caliper. At sa pagsukat ng caliber ng firearm, ginagamit natin, ang basis natin dyan is to measure that firearm from two opposite lands. Okay? Yan. So, sinusukat natin siya in two opposite lands. So, sinusukat natin siya from here to here. O pwedeng dito, then dito, dito, dito. So, yung tapatan na lands. Doon natin itinatapat yung ngipin ng vernier caliper for us to measure accurately the caliber of the firearm. Okay? So, yan. Kasi ang circle kasi, mine-measure natin yan. Ang tawag natin dito sa bilog na to, that is the circumference. Ang tawag naman natin dun sa may gitna, papunta dun sa gilid, that is the radius. At pag sinukat natin yung from both side, that will be now the caliber. Okay? Next, in shots ballistics pa rin, we have here the choke barrel. Okay? Yung choke barrel naman, this is the degree of constriction. No? When you say constriction, yung pagliit saan parte? On the end portion of the shotgun barrel. Dito sa dulo ng shotgun barrel. Okay? For the purpose, bakit kaya mayroong partial constriction? Okay? So the reason behind bakit meron siyang partial constriction, that is to control the spread of the shots or pellets after leaving the barrel. Kasi meron tayong hindi choke barrel, tawag natin doon true cylinder, na kung saan, kung ano yung diameter ng dulo, yun din yung diameter ng buong barrel na shotgun. Okay? The problem in that kind of barrel, okay, ang problema doon is, since ang sabi ko kanina, habang that shotgun can fire multiple pellets. At habang lumalayo yung gunner or the muzzle of the shotgun doon sa may target, mas nag-i-spread out yung pellets. Okay? So, nawawala siya dun sa may pagkakagrupo-grupo ng mga pellets na yon. Okay? So, ang problema dun, nagiging short distance yung from the muzzle of the shotgun papunta dun sa may target. Short distance yon or short range yon. So, if gusto natin na mas maging maggrupo-grupo pa, no, or maging yung tapon ng pellets ay mas maliit lang yung tapon niya, we can use choke type of barrel of the shotgun. Para bago niya ibuga yung mga pellets, iipunin niya muna dito sa dulo bago niya ibato. Okay? So that is the purpose of the choke barrel of a shotgun. That is the degree of constriction on the end portion of the shotgun barrel for the purpose of controlling the spread of pellets after leaving the barrel. Okay? So we have here the anatomy of the shotgun ammunition. So meron tayong metal base dyan. Okay, the metal base. Also, we have this pa rin, the primer. Okay? And then the propellant or the gunpowder, meron din yan. And this are the shots or pellets, yung maliliit na bulitas na yan. The tubular case, yung plastic. And ang pinagkaiba lang na to sa cartridge ng rifle bore firearm, meron tong tinatawag na wad. Meron niyang wads. Okay? Yung wad na yan, a small piece of parang karton, minsan plastic din, na kung saan siya yung nagbibigay ng division kay gunpowder at saka kay pellet. Kasi imagine that, walang wad. So maghahalo yung gunpowder and then the pellet. Okay? So kung ganyan ang structure ng shotgun ammunition or the shot shell, okay, mapapansin natin, ito yung gunpowder. Magkakaroon ng ignition dito or percussion, then susunugin niya yung gunpowder. Ang itutulak ng gunpowder is the wad. Itutulak ngayon ng wad yung mga pellets para i-propel. No? Ang nagpo-propel is the propellant, of course. Pero ang ipopropel ng propellant dyan, ang una niya itutulak is the wads. Si wads ang tutulak kay pellet. So meaning to say, hindi lang pala pellet ang lumalabas sa may muzzle or the barrel of the shotgun, even the wads. So pag nakakita tayo ng wads sa crime scene, there is a high possibility that there is a shotgun involved. Okay? Doon sa isang shooting incident. Depende sa mga, hindi lang pellets ang basis natin. Pag nakakita tayo ng wads, meaning, merong participation ng shotgun doon sa isang incident. Okay? So, after that, let us move forward with the wound ballistics. Let us have a short discussion regarding the wound ballistics. Kung kanina, ang pinag-aaralan sa shots ballistics is uh, the shots or pellets that came from smoothbore firearm. In wound ballistics naman, from the term wound, it is the study of the effects. Okay? The study of the effects of the projectile saan? On the human body. Okay? In wound ballistics, ang pinag-aaralan natin is the impact, the effects, okay, ng projectile sa human body. Now, the damage of the tissue around sa bullet spa, pag dumaan ang bullet or the projectile, pag dumaan niya sa tissue, yung damage or the shock wave na napoproduce ng bullet na yon, okay, while traveling the human body, we call it tissue quake. Okay? The tissue quake. Actually, meron tayong term dito. Meron tayong temporary cavity and then the permanent cavity. Okay? Yung pag-uga ng muscles natin habang dinadaanan ng bullet or projectile, yung paggalaw nun, yung pag-alon ng tissues natin o yung muscle, at tawag doon is temporary cavity. Pero yung nagawang daan or butas ng bullet, okay, sa ating katawan, the tissues or the muscle of the body, ang tawag natin doon is the permanent cavity. Okay? So, I hope na naintindihan, naunawaan yung dalawang klase ng cavity. We have permanent cavity and then the temporary cavity. Okay? So, gunshot wound, when you say gunshot wound, it is the open wound produced by the penetration of the bullet slug within the tissues of the body. So, yun yung nag-create when pagka ang isang sugat or ang open wound ay na-produce because of the bullet, okay, because of the projectile that came from a firearm, ang tawag natin doon is gunshot wound. Okay, meron nabanggit dito na term, penetration. Okay, actually dalawa yan, penetration and then the perforation. When you say penetration, that is the depth of the entry of the bullet. Usually, penetration is pagbaon. Okay? Ang merong kakambal na term yan na tinatawag natin na perforation. Perforation. When you say perforation, through and through. Okay? Ibig sabihin, may entrance wound and also meron din siyang exit wound. Tagusan yung perforation. Yung penetration, yung lalim ng baon ng bullet or the projectile in the human, in the tissues of the body. Okay? So, with regard to the gunshot wound, we have here the three basic kinds of gunshot wounds distinguished by the proximity of the weapon o yung distansya ng firearm doon sa kanyang target. Okay, so we have here contact discharge. When say contact discharge, po pwedeng yung muzzle of the firearm ay nakapress or nakadikit doon sa skin or within an inch or two of the body. Po pwedeng nakadikit, nakapress, and also po pwedeng an inch or 2 inch contact discharge yun. Okay? Pagka naman 6 inches to 2 feet ang layo ng muzzle from the target, that is what we call close discharge. Kapag ka naman over 2 feet or 3 feet or kahit gano'ng nakalayo yan, ang tawag na natin doon sa type ng gunshot wounds na yun, according to the proximity of the weapon, will be now distant discharge. Okay? Actually, meron din tayong term na tinatawag na point blank range. Okay? Point blank range. Yung point blank range niya, that is actually hindi na yan kasama dito kasi ito is the kinds of gunshot wounds distinguished by the proximity of the weapon. Okay? Yung point blank range, ang kasama na tong discussion is the range, the accurate range, effective range, maximum effective range. Okay? When say point blank range, usually kasi kapag gumagamit tayo ng firearm, when we are targeting a subject, okay, we utilize the rear sight and then the front sight. Okay? We utilize the rear sight and then the front sight. Ngayon, may mga pagkakataon na sobrang lapit sa atin ng target and hindi na natin kailangan silipin pa yung front sight and then the rear sight para tamaan yung target sa sobrang lapit ng range. Okay? So, when we fire a firearm to a subject, okay, to a target, without necessary using the rear sight and then the front sight, okay, kumbaga nakatingin na lang tayo sa target tapos pinaputukan natin ang baril, ang tawag natin doon is point blank range. Okay, so sobrang lapit, no need for necessary sight utilization of the rear sight and then the front sight. Ang tawag natin doon is point blank range. Yung nakatingin ka na lang sa target mo habang binabaril mo yung target sa sobrang lapit, tinatamaan mo naman, that is point blank range. Again, so we have here 3 basic kinds of gunshot wounds, distinguished by the proximity of the weapon, contact, close discharge, and then the distant discharge. Okay? So meron din tayo dito ang gunshot wound characteristics. We have here the scorching, blackening, tattooing, meron din yung dirt ring. Okay? So halos magkakamukha sila ng itsura, meron silang pagkakahawig ng itsura, pero iba-iba sila ng dahilan kung bakit nangyayari. Okay? When we say scorching, this is caused by the flame or hot gases. Okay? In-explain dito sa definition na hindi, kaya nangitim yan, kung makikita natin, this is the gunshot wound, kung bakit yan nangitim, ang tawag dyan, scorching. At kung bakit nangitim yan, hindi dahil sa mainit na projectile o mainit na tingga na pumasok dyan. Okay? So, kaya sa nangitim, that is because of the flame or the hot gas. So, ibig sabihin, yung init na singaw na galing sa barrel ng firearm. By the way, ang scorching, blackening, tattooing, and then the dirt ring, actually, yung dirt ring, hindi gano eh. Yung scorching, blackening, and tattooing, those are the indications that the victim is receive the gunshot wound in contact discharge. Ibig sabihin, malapit ang binaril yung victim. Okay? So, pag mayroong presence ng scorching, tattooing, and then the blackening, that is an indication, a concrete indication na malapit ang binaril ang isang tao. Okay? So, hindi maitatanggi kung malapitan o malayuan. Okay? That is the determination of the proximity of the weapon. Okay? Or the range of the muzzle of the firearm to the victim. Okay? Again, scorching is caused by the flame or hot gases. Okay? As we all know that the firearm, meron siyang nilalabas na since may pulburo nga siya sa loob, no? Yung because of the cartridge, may pulburo yun sa loob. Okay? So, sa gabi, usually sa gabi, mas kita yun eh. Yung flash ng apoy, doon sa may muzzle ng firearm, tawag natin doon is muzzle flash. Okay? Yung flame na lumalabas doon sa may muzzle ng firearm, yung init ng singaw noon, pag malapitan mong binaril yung isang tao, usually yun yung nagkokos ng pangingitim doon sa paligid ng gunshot wound. Okay? The flame or the hot gas, yun ang nagdulot ng scorching. Tawag natin dyan is scorching. Okay? Ngayon, meron niyang other term. Tinatawag din natin yung scorching na burning or charring. Okay? The burning or charring. Okay? So, ano ang nagdulot ng scorching, burning, or charring sa gunshot wound ng isang tao? That is caused by the hot gases and then the flame produced by the firearm because of the gunpowder. Okay? The pressure developed by the gunpowder, lalabas yan sa barrel, the muzzle of the firearm, yung singaw nun, yung apoy, that caused the scorching. Okay? And another is the blackening. Yung blackening naman o yung pangingitim, ganun din eh. Halos magkamukha lang sila ng itsura eh. Pero ito, mas malaki yung deposition niya. Mas malaki yung deposit ng black color sa paligid ng gunshot wound. Blackening caused by the deposition of smoke particles. Okay? So, ibig sabihin yung pagkakaroon ng o yung pagde-deposit ng usok, okay? By all types of powders at close range, okay? Being light particles, they soon lose their velocity and get deposited on any material available in the path. So, ibig sabihin, ang nagdulot naman ng pangingitim dito sa may gunshot wound is yung usok, okay? Usually, lalo na kung ang gamit sa cartridge is yung makaluma natin na na propellant, which is the oldest propellant, as we all know, is the black powder. Okay? Pero, sir, black powder lang ba ang nagkukos ng blackening? Hindi, kahit yung smokeless powder or the semi-smokeless gunpowder, nagkukos din siya ng blackening. Pero siyempre, iba yung pangingitim na dulot kapag ang gamit ay black powder. Okay? So, yung tawag dyan sa pangingitim na yan is blackening. Bakit nagkakaroon ng blackening? Because of the deposits of smoke particles. Usok. Kanina, kay scorching, kaya nangitim yung paligid ng gunshot wound is because of the hot gas or the flame. May blackening naman, kaya nangitim yung paligid ng gunshot wound is because of the deposits of the usok or the smoke. Okay? Next here is the tattooing. Okay? When we say tattooing, actually tinatawag din ng tattooing na peppering or stippling. So kung kanina si scorching is caused by flame or hot gas, kaya sa nangitin, yung tattooing, yung blackening naman is caused by the deposition of the black smoke. Ito namang tattooing, actually hindi siya nangitim, pero may pagkasunog. Okay? Sa paligid ng abrasion collar. Okay? O di gunshot wound. Ngayon, kung papansinin natin sa tattooing, kung bakit sa tinawag na peppering, kasi para siyang binudbud na paminta. Okay? So, ang tattooing, okay, caused by the embedding of the unburnt, mga hindi nasunog, and then semi-burnt powder particles into the surface target, doon sa skin, sa paligid ng gunshot wound. Kasi, actually, ang gunpowder, hindi siya nasusunog lahat eh. Okay? Ang gunpowder, hindi yan nasusunog lahat para maipropel o para maibato yung bullet. Okay? At about 90%, 85%, I don't know the exact percentage, pero pagka sapat na yung pressure na na-develop dito sa loob ng cartridge, okay, nasunog na yung other gunpowders. The majority of gunpowder and nag-deflagrate na. Okay, hindi kailangan lahat dyan totally masunog para lang magkaroon or i-push niya or itulak niya pa-forward yung bullet. So ngayon, yung bullet, kapag kayan ay nag-propel na, sumusunod sa puwitan niya or sa likuran niya yung mga nasusunog pa lang na gunpowder at yung mga hindi nasunog na gunpowder. Ngayon, ang tendency nun, kapag pumasok sa skin, kapag pumasok sa skin, to the tissue, to the body of the victim, okay, or the target, pag pumasok yon, ang kasunod nun is yung mga gunpowder, the gunpowder particles. So, yun yung nagde-deposit sa paligid. Kaya siya nagkakaroon ng tattooing. So, ibig sabihin, nasusunog yung ibang gunpowder doon na sa balat or sa skin. Kaya, merong tattooing na nangyayari. Okay? Again, bakit merong tattooing? That is the embedding of the unburnt and semi-burnt gunpowder particles to the surface of the target. Tinatawag din siya na peppering and then stippling. Okay? So, yan. So, we have here naman the test for the presence of the gunpowder residue. Okay? So, ano yung test para malaman natin na may gunpowder residue? Okay? So, we have here the paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test. Ang paraffin test, tinatawag din natin yan na dermal nitrate test. Okay? Since ang paraffin test, ang ginagamitan siya ng paraffin wax. Okay? So, ang dermal nitrate test, this is the oldest test in the existence na alam natin. That is the oldest test that was designed to check for the residue on the hands. Okay? So, binabalutan niya ng paraffin wax and then tested with the diphenylamine. Ngayon, kapag yung wax ay nag-turns into blue, that is an indication that a nitrate is present on the hand of an individual. Okay? So, the question here is paraffin test accepted in the court of law as an evidence? Okay? So, we have here a jurisprudence on August 30, 2017. Okay? This is Joselito Peralta y Zareno the petitioner and versus the people of the Philippines as the respondent. According to the ruling, that paraffin tests in general have been rendered inconclusive by the court. So paraffin test result is inconclusive evidence. Okay? So hindi siya ganun ka-konkreto. Okay? Ibig sabihin kulang. Kulang siya. Okay? Scientific experts concur in the view that the paraffin test was extremely unreliable for use. Bakit kaya? Okay? So it can only establish the presence or absence of nitrates or nitrates on the hand. Tama naman. Because paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test from the word nitrate test, this test cannot see if there is a gunpowder residue on the hand of the individual. Hindi niya kayang i-check kung mayroong nag-e-exist na gunpowder residue because nitrate, hindi lang yan nakikita sa gunpowder. Okay? So maraming mga products na mayroong nitrate. So ibig sabihin, kahit hindi ka recently nagpaputok ng barel, pero humawa ka ng ibang mga produkto na naglalaman ng nitrate, pwede kang magpositibo sa paraffin test. Kaya inconclusive siya and the scientific experts concur that paraffin test was extremely unreliable for use. Okay? So, however, the test alone cannot determine whether the source or of the nitrates or nitrates was the discharge of a firearm. So, hindi sigurado na kapag meron kang presence ng nitrates sa kamay, ibig sabihin recently nagpaputok ka ng baril. The presence of nitrates should be taken only as an indication of a possibility. May posibilidad lang na nagpaputok ka ng baril pero hindi sa 100%. Or even of a probability but not of infallibility that a person has fired a gun. So, walang kasiguraduhan na kapag ikaw ay nagpositibo sa paraffin test, ikaw ay recently nagpaputok ng baril. Okay? So, since nitrates are also admittedly found in substance other than gunpowder, just like for example, yung mga pataba sa bukid. Okay? So, nagsabog ka ng pataba, no? Or other materials na hinawakan mo na hindi naman sa gunpowder. Pero meron siyang composition of nitrates. Meron siyang nitrate doon sa produkto. So, pagka sinalang ka sa paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test, pwede kang mag-positibo. Kaya ang paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test, according to the court, is an inconclusive evidence. Okay? So this paraffin test, according to the scientific expert naman, is unreliable to determine the presence of the gunpowder residue. Actually, and that is the source comes from the Supreme Court library. Again, the jurisprudence, Joselito Peralta y Zareno, and then the people of the Philippines. Okay? Kaya ang paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test ay hindi siya ganun kakongkreto. Tulong lang siya pero kailangan ng ibang test pa para mapatunayan, pero ito ay hindi siya ganun, inconclusive siya, kulang siya. Okay? So hindi niya kayang i-determine na meron kang gunpowder residue. Hindi gunpowder ang tinitignan sa dermal nitrate test, kundi yung nitrate lang alone. Yung nitrate lang, the test of the nitrates, the test of the existence of the nitrates on the hand of an individual. Okay? Yeah. So actually, meron pang ibang tests for the presence of gunpowder residue. Meron tayong tinatawag na Harrison and Gilroy test. Okay? So ginagamitan ng mga photographic paper, just like for example, the Grease test, the Walker's test, the Marshall and Tiwaris test. At sinusukat din nila yung angle and then the distance. Yung kung ang paraffin test or the dermal nitrate test ay ang tinitignan dito is the presence of nitrate. Okay? Yung Harrison-Gilroy test naman, ang tinitignan doon, okay, Harrison and Gilroy test, ang tinitignan dyan is the presence of what we call lab. Okay, ano yung lab na yan? The presence of lead, okay, the presence of antimony, and then the presence of barium. The presence of barium. So hindi nitrates ang tinetest sa Harrison and Gilroy test, kundi yung presence ng lead, antimony, and then the barium. Okay? So that's it for the weekly dose of knowledge. So hope na naintindihan mabuti with regard to shots ballistics and then the wound ballistics. Okay? So that's it. And again, maraming salamat. And I will be uploading pa discussion with regard to forensic ballistics or even in other course matter. Maraming salamat and mabuhay.